Right now, we're awaiting a Donald Trump rally in South Carolina as his GOP rivals continue to search for ways, any kind of way, to take him down. Some are now hoping to find some momentum with big-name endorsements. Ted Cruz today winning the endorsement of Thomas Sowell. Trey Gowdy has launched TV ads beginning today, as a matter of fact, for Marco Rubio in South Carolina. Trump, of course, has gotten a lot of endorsements on his own as well, the latest coming from televangelist Mike Murdoch. But the big question, I guess, is at the end of the day, do these endorsements make any difference? Joining me now, Vince Coglianese, Guy Benson, Ford O'Connell, and Kirsten Haglund. Vince, let me ask you, they're coveted, and we talk about them a lot, but do they move the needle?
I don't think in general, excuse me, I don't think in general you see a tremendous amount of movement based on endorsements. Endorsements, I think, offer the veneer of seriousness. They are able to bring them out on the campaign trail as just sort of one more thing to add to the list of reasons why you should back a candidate. But generally, no. I mean, even in Iowa, we saw Donald Trump try and roll out Jerry Falwell Jr. as he saw Ted Cruz gaining on him. And did it help to keep him within fighting distance? Maybe, but he didn't win Iowa as a result. And I don't think, in general, endorsements move the needle a tremendous amount.
Guy, then why are they so coveted? Everyone talks about him. Even Donald Trump brought up during the debate that Ted Cruz apparently has none of his colleagues endorsing him.
Well, there's a bandwagon effect, and Vince was just talking about that to some extent. Also, if you're talking about public officials, those folks all have their own political networks on the ground in the state. So if you're Marco Rubio, of course, you're delighted to not just have the reputations of Trey Gowdy and Senator Tim Scott on your side. You want their political operations, their political networks in South Carolina working on your behalf. It's sort of like a shot of credibility. Thomas Sowell is an excellent, well-respected get for Ted Cruz, an economist who's just brilliant, very conservative. So, again, especially in this cycle where the normal rules seem to not apply very often, I'd say the impact of these things are a little bit diminished, but it still matters to some extent, and you'd rather have some of these good endorsements than not, certainly.
Guy, I like Thomas Sowell, but I'm going to tell you right now, if the average person down at the Winn-Dixie in Spartanburg, South Carolina, knows who the heck Thomas Sowell is, you know what? I will buy you dinner next week, okay?
No, but that's still Ford.
But you made a good point about Trey Gowdy.
Within a subset of voters, though, who deeply care about issues, that's a big conservative signal, getting a Thomas Sowell, not just in South Carolina, but if you're running a national primary, that's someone that Ted Cruz would be delighted to have on his side, of course, right?
I think you'd be, yes, you're always delighted to have every endorsement on your side, but I'm talking about moving certain numbers at the margins in certain states.
Well, Trey Gowdy could do that, right?
That's the one that most interests me because, remember, as we discussed earlier, this is winner-take-all by congressional district, and Trey Gowdy comes from the South Carolina 4. If Marco Rubio can use his political operation to win South Carolina 4, then I find that a victory because he's going to get some delegates. And obviously, with Murdoch and Donald Trump, the point there is clearly Ted Cruz's hits on Donald Trump's morality must be resonating because I'm not so sure that Donald Trump wanted to roll out that endorsement before Super Tuesday.
Although we should point out, at least with that CNN poll, Donald Trump right now doing even better than Cruz with evangelicals. Again, 4 days before the polls. But, I don't know if Nikki Haley is going to endorse anyone. She probably won't at this late stage. And, of course, the governor of Iowa didn't endorse anyone but said don't vote for Cruz. And guess what? Cruz won.
A non-endorsement, right. And Sarah Palin, remember, came out to support Donald Trump. That was huge. I mean, her base, we can say it's probably diminished, but her base is also really huge. So I would argue that endorsements increasingly matter less, especially if you consider who Hillary Clinton has rolled out. I mean, she's rolled out the celebrities, Katy Perry, Demi Lovato, Lena Dunham, all these people to get millennials, and it's all failed for her. It hasn't worked. So, yeah, endorsements matter, but really at the end of the day, it's about the candidate. And I would argue, too, with Trump and Mike Murdoch, if you look at Murdoch, he's a prosperity gospel preacher, right? He's not your typical conservative, more deeply evangelical and deeply faithful kind of preacher. So he has a totally different audience, and it's more going to be in line with Trump's values anyway. So yeah, endorsements are okay, but really at the end of the day, it's the candidate.
Hey guys, is there an endorsement out there right now that everyone would like to get, do you think?
I think there are a number. One of them is probably Mitt Romney, actually, because I know that there's a lot of people in the base who don't like Mitt Romney or view him somewhat fondly, but hey, he's still lost. But as far as, and Ford has made this point several times already, and I'm going to echo it because it's so important, as long as there's 5, 6, 7 people in the race, that helps Donald Trump immensely. If it winnows down to 2 or 3, having Mitt Romney and not just his prestige, but a vast donor network behind him, swinging behind someone, that is the type of endorsement that could make a difference.
All right, guys, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of egos on the so-called establishment side. A couple of those guys probably should have dropped out by now anyway.